Good evening. After 18 weeks of saying good morning, I got to switch it up to say good evening for super duper wild card weekend. Jameson, Hutchison here with the greatest of all time, Joel Wirth. How are you doing, my friend?
Jameson, it's gonna be 60 degrees tomorrow. They'll get Saturday. We get Packers Bears. It's almost enough to make you forget all the horrible things that are going on in the world. But yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm right there with you. We need a distraction from all the goofiness, and we've got it. We've got a wild, super duper wild card weekend ahead. I will say this: I know
Super duper.
the first game that we're going to talk about seems a little iffy on, even though there was an upset earlier in the year, but it seems like every team this weekend is live, and I think for us it's really exciting. So we got 2 games on Saturday, we got 3 on Sunday, and then we've got the Monday game. So we'll kick this off here momentarily. I'm going to pull up the screen, and if you are just tuning in, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Appreciate it. It would mean a lot. So I'm going to pull up the solver here, and we will kick things off. So Saturday at 4:30 Eastern time, we will get the LA Rams, a big road favorite, going to Carolina, face the Panthers. Earlier this year, the Panthers upset the Rams 31-28. Basically, the Rams had them beat. Matthew Stafford turned them over 3 times. So I don't know if people are expecting much different this to go around, but we'll kick us off here with the Rams and the Panthers here.
Yeah, we got Rams on the road, 10.5-point favorites on the road. One of these teams does not belong in the playoffs. It's the team that finished below 500. I've beaten that horse to death. 45.5 is the total in this one. So Rams implied is 28-17.5 for Carolina. I think because they just lost to Carolina, about a month ago.
Yep.
I think you can just rule out them not taking this game seriously and overlooking the Panthers because they're going to want revenge for that. So yeah, I think honestly the key to DFS this weekend is getting the Rams players right. Because there's legitimately, if you include Stafford, there's legitimately 7 players on the Rams who could kind of nuke the slate for their price. And like, let's say I'll say there's a 5% chance that the Rams just don't score enough points to be relevant. There's probably a 20 to 25% chance that the scoring is so distributed that nobody really gets there for their price. Otherwise, like, there's at least a 40% chance that any of these guys kind of get there. Whether it's Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, Puka, who I think is an elite option this week, even at his price. Devontae Adams is back. I could see them forcing him 2 touchdowns. Either Higbee's back. They're getting him involved. Parkinson's still involved. Yeah, there's just so many options, and they're going to score. I think they're going to score so many points that I think you're going to have to nail how the Rams score and who scores for them. What's up, Sean? To be a winner at DFS, to figure out the optimal lineup this week.
Yeah, this is where it starts. Obviously, there's a lot. I mean, you talked about it. We talked about all the wide receivers. They now have 4 tight ends. The Rams do, with Tyler Higbee back, and it's gotten very goofy. I guess I'll talk about the Carolina side because it ends up being really thin if you really go through it. Tetairoa McMillan I think we're both going to call it how we see it. The Panthers are probably not going to have what they did the last time. Probably going to be playing from behind, if I would have to guess. The Rams secondary has given up some big games. We get Jalen Coker, who had the 92%, in the starting role. It's not like the Walter White pure cokeheads out there, but I mean, it's pretty damn close. Xavier Legette ends up getting removed finally. I really liked him, and it's just been kind of a shame how bad it's been. But Jalen Coker is a full-time player. He's really interesting, kind of as a cheap person. We'll see. I'm curious if anybody plays any brings backs on the Panthers, or they just line up the Rams, and we'll go through those Rams guys. We start off at the top here: Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. I'll be honest, for me to be a little contrarian here, as I always am, I really like Devontae Adams. I like this click this week. I know everybody on God's green earth is going to play Puka, but when Devontae Adams has been in there, he's been the most targeted red zone threat of all time. I mean, Matthew Stafford just goes out of his way to make sure that happens. So I like him at a discounted price. Get Tetairoa McMillan at 7,500. I think he's a decent click. I don't think he's going to get clicked much, but I'm interested in the game script where they're coming from behind. But there's really 2 ways that the Panthers have any shot at doing this. It's the play keep away, kind of like what Indy did a couple weeks ago against the Seahawks. They just, kind of hang around and play good defense, run the ball, just like try to play keep away, or they let Bryce Young try to rip it, which we've seen it a couple times. We don't see it very much. I don't expect a whole lot of that here. I think we all expect just the Rams to kind of annihilate them, but we got Kyron Williams up here at 8K. We have Blake Corum here, 5,700 on FanDuel, and then DraftKings, it's going to be more of the same. And I'll fix this here in a little bit. We've got the 2-game slate for Saturday, and I'll switch this to 6 games here in a second. But 6,400 for Kyron Williams on DraftKings, and then Blake Corum's down here at 5,400. The running backs for the Panthers, that'd be a large field play only. I have zero interest. I don't know if you have any interest in Carolina running backs. I would assume not.
I do not. Nope.
I figured. I will announce them. I mean, they're just splitting time. Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. Tight end, Tommy Tremble with Jatavian Sanders. You're counting on a touchdown. I will say this about this DFS slate. I'm really interested in the tight ends because I know there's one tight end that sticks out like a sore thumb. I do think that tight end will be the way to go through and try to have an edge this weekend, and that's kind of how you win on this 6-game slate because I think there's a lot of really intriguing tight ends here. So I will just list all of the Rams stuff, and then we'll just go through that real quick. Puka, top the chart like he always is. Devonta, 6,500. We're going to go through all the tight ends. My personal preference will be Tyler Higbee. Him coming back, he ended up having a big game last week. It just seems like he's going to lead the charge, but I think it's 3 out of the 4 are viable. Terrence Ferguson's pretty interesting. Colby Parkinson's interesting. And they're all in this realm, 3,700, 3,200, 2,700 over on DraftKings, especially if you're playing double tight end. Do you have a preference on tight end for the Rams?
Yeah, it's Higbee. Ferguson really concerns me in that with the Q tag and that he hasn't been practicing. I haven't seen a practice report. I was looking to see if we get a practice report on him, but he hasn't been practicing so far this week. With that crowded a room for a guy who runs that few routes, that's really concerning if he's not fully healthy. So, and especially in a game where they probably don't necessarily need him. Yeah, I like the idea of Ferguson, but if he's not 100%, then he becomes really kind of scary. And honestly, this slate is not, and maybe this is just me being kind of overly optimistic on some guys. I think pricing is really loose for this slate. I can put a lineup that I can put multiple lineups that I really like together that I think are really strong. So I don't think you really need to go down, and I think we'll probably be hitting on the same tight end. I don't think you need to go down that far on the tight end slate to save money. I just don't think you need to save money on the slate because there's just so many really good options I don't think pricing is that tight.
No, I'm right there with you. And there's some chalk plays that we'll get to in a little bit that you can kind of click and it's pretty much set it and forget it. So you can do really whatever you want. You don't have to worry. I mean, if you want to play the Stafford double with Devontae Adams and Puka, and you can even add the tight end. If you want to add 4 or 5 guys from the Rams, you can do it without really kind of ruining your life with salary. The 2 guys we didn't talk about as far as the quarterbacks, as far as pricing, 6,900 for Stafford. He's going to be a pretty comfortable click, and then Bryce Young is at 5K. I don't think you have to do the Bryce Young click. We've seen the couple games where he gets the 30 ball. I expect him to run a little bit. There's, we talked about Jalen Coker. I'm willing to try that. A little bit of the booger sugar stuff. I'm not here to try the Bryce Young experience on a slate where, like I said at the beginning, this is an awesome weekend for just the wild card week. I'm really excited about some of these other games. And then the one thing before we go, Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, both guys are pretty good clicks. Kyron Williams is pretty interesting. And then I expect Rams defense to get played a little bit here as well, but they are expensive. 4,900. They're going to be top of the food chain on FanDuel, and then on DraftKings, it's basically going to be around the same price there at 3,500. So anything else on this game, or I guess I'm sure Puka is the easiest to say, but is there any other favorites that you might have here on this game here?
Yeah, I think we should talk about Puka and that I think he will be the most rostered player of the slate. And I think you're going to have a good reason to fade him because, like you said, pricing is loose. So it's not, you don't have to look at the top guys at a position and say, I'm not going to be able to afford a good team. So I think he's going to be very highly owned. And if he nukes, you're just dead if you don't have Puka shares. So I think his ownership could push 70-80% in a tournament. I mean, in this field, in this game script, like they're the highest implied total team. So I think you're going to need a good reason to fade Puka if you're going to do that. Now, if you get some rando touchdown from, Kanata Mumfield or Jordan Whittington or whatever, that could kind of screw the pooch and everything could kind of go nuts there. But yeah, the other side, like the Panthers side, you talked about Bryce Young, and we talked about this on the Sunday show. I don't know how you can watch that schmortion of an offense from Saturday night against a bad Tampa defense and think that he's going to go off against a really good Rams defense that's going to be very highly motivated. Not that Tampa wasn't, but I don't know how you watch that offense and think that it can even kind of remotely. And like last time they played, they got their points came off on their defense, basically, right? They got a pick six, they got another couple turnovers, they gave them short fields. So yeah, this offense just is not generating points. So Bryce Young's out. The thing about the garbage time for this is you're basically betting that the Rams get out to such a big lead that they just say, okay, we've probably got to go to Seattle next week, or we got to go back to Philly next week, and we're just going to rest our guys starting in the third quarter. Because otherwise, I don't see this Carolina team scoring on the Rams. So, and even if they do, I think all the attention is going to go to Tet. So I don't like Tet at all. Like I'm going to be full fade on Tet. Yeah, I'm okay with Coker in a kind of garbage time because I think he's the better garbage time option. I think this is going to be a garbage time game. And Tet he's not like the Jamar Chase type that could command like 12 targets or something like that. He's right. He's just not that kind of guy. So I think the Rams can kind of take him out of the game and say, okay, you want to beat us with Xavier Legette and Jalen Coker and Chuba Hubbard, go for it. So yeah, I'm with Sean here. I think this game is going to be a massacre. But yeah, and even in the script, I don't necessarily like the Panthers as a garbage time option either, especially and Ted at 6,000 is just too much for me. Like I would rather go down to, the Bears receivers, the Packers receivers. I just don't think you need to spend that kind of salary on Ted, even though pricing is kind of loose, but I just don't think that's where you need to spend your money.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Kind of what we emphasized, it was 3 turnovers from Matthew Stafford and then like some fourth down red hotness from Carolina Panthers. Other than that, like the Rams, it's not like they necessarily played a bad game outside the turnovers. They had more yards. I mean, it was just kind of a wonky thing. I know that the Panthers have showed up in some of these big games, but the losing streak, I just don't have much hope. It's just my thinking for the rest of the slate is how much Rams do I need compared to the rest of this weekend, because there's a lot of stuff to get into. So outside of that, I think we are good on this game. We'll go to the next one here, and I'm just going to let you have at it. We got Green Bay on the road going to Chicago Saturday night on Amazon Prime, because nothing says corporate greed like having the biggest game in the world, not on Fox, not on CBS, but Amazon Prime. So I'm just going to let you have the floor here for your Packers and kick this one off for us.
Yeah, we get the corpse of Al Michaels and a college analyst calling the game. So yeah, that's awesome.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah.
I heard a crazy stat today, or in the history of the NFL, the Packers and Bears have played in the playoffs 3 times. They've only made the playoffs in the same season 5 times. That's insane. Like these teams have gone back to the 20s. These are the oldest rivalry in the game, the 2 of the oldest franchises in the games. They've only made the playoffs in the same season 5 times. Absolutely crazy. And this line has been really wonky. It opened like multiple books some books had the Bears favored, some books had the Packers favored. Then it kind of consolidated to the Bears at like a point and a half. And now it's gone back to the Packers. Went back to the Packers at a point and a half, and now it's back down to 1. So this line has been kind of all over the place. So Packers by 1 right now. 45 is the total. 23 implied for the Packers. 22 implied for the Bears. I think all you can say, this is going to be a close game. This is going to be a wild game. These teams have played twice already. And the only silver lining I can think of for the Packers losing earlier because they couldn't field an onside kick is that all the teams, all the division rivals in the playoffs have split this year. So we don't have to hear the literal stupidest cliche in the history of the NFL that it's hard to beat the team 3 times in the same season. Thank you, Sherlock. So yeah, this game is going to come down to turnovers, obviously, and time of possession, because I think both teams are going to move the ball. It's just going to be, if you can steal that extra possession, if you win the turnover battle, get one extra possession, I think that's where this game goes. I'm kind of leaning toward the Packers just because, like the old cliche is in the playoffs, you pick the team that you trust the coach and the quarterback. I think we'll talk about Jordan Love in a second here. I think this is going to be an epic Jordan Love game. I think he's pissed. And right now, like, I think Ben Johnson screwed up by playing his guys last week. There was no reason to. Both these teams had a bye in week 5. These teams have not had a bye in like 14 weeks. So there was absolutely no reason for the Bears to play. Like, they were locked into either the 2 or the 3. So you're getting either the Niners that the Niners were the wild card, or the Packers. And they're basically the same team. They're really good offenses and really bad defenses. So there was absolutely no reason to play his guys last week. And then, after the game, he got some teams rest their players and we like to play our cool. Great. You're mini Dan Campbell. That's awesome. Good for you. You lost. Sour grapes. I think it was an epic failure by him to play his guys last week when he didn't need to. They lost Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to a concussion. Now, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is pretty bad at this point. But if Kyler Gordon doesn't get back, and they just activated him, they designated him to return from IR with a groin injury. So then what are you going to? Then you're basically going to like your third string nickel. So that's pretty, and we saw, like, my biggest failure in DFS last week was I was kind of down on Amon-Ra St. Brown because of the injury and very high on Jameson Williams, and Amon-Ra St. Brown was just running all over in the secondary last week. So I think it's a really good Jaden Reed game. I like Watson because he has nuked the Bears twice. But I think Jaden Reed is the best analog the Packers have for Amon-Ra St. Brown. And they had no answer for him last week. So I really like Jaden Reed this week. And like I said, I think we are going to get an epic Jordan Love revenge game. I think he is pissed because of the helmet to helmet hit against the Bears a couple of weeks ago that knocked him out. I think he's pissed that there was a lot of Packer fans saying that the offense ran better with Malik Willis. And listen, I am the nation's foremost collection of Malik Willis dynasty shares. That's absolutely insane. They're not better with Malik Willis and Jordan Love. And I think he wanted to play last week. Like, if you watched him on the sidelines of that game, he had his helmet on. He was kind of stomping up down the sidelines. He wanted to play. So I think he's legitimately pissed. I think we're going to get an epic Jordan Love game, kind of comparable to what we saw against Dallas in the playoffs a couple of years ago. So yeah, I love Jordan Love in this game. I like Jaden Reed a lot. Bears side, Rome Odunze is going to be back. Sounds like he's going to play. Again, it's kind of like the Rams in that I think they're going to put up points. It's just really hard to tell who's going to get them because you get so many options. You get Burden. I'm just kind of discounting DJ Moore because he doesn't get targets when everybody else is healthy. He only gets targeted when everybody else is out. So you got Burden. You've got, how does the offense run with the Odunze back? And then, man, I love Colson this week. He is like, the offense is running through him. So even though he's the top price tight end on the Saturday only slate, I think he's an elite option this week.
Yeah, it's I've really gone back and forth on this game, and it's been really hard to figure out. But honestly, I think I'm with you on this Jordan Love, like, absolute nuke game. That's kind of how I feel. This Bears secondary is just absolute cheeks. I mean, they're horrible, and they've gotten the turnovers. They lead in turnovers, but as far as like yards given up, kind of like the Cowboys a couple years ago, where Trayvon Diggs and all those guys had all the turnovers, but they still sucked as far as playing actual cornerback goes. I can just see Jordan Love just ripping off that back foot and just going to town on this Bears defense. My problem with the Bears portion of it is, of course, last week they haven't looked good. And as the many highs that Caleb Williams has had over the last month, he's still pretty rocky. It's still like you got to put on the Superman cape in the fourth quarter. It is not steady 4 quarters of good.
They didn't score in the first half last week.
Yeah, it's still the up and down goofiness that comes with it. So you talk about Jaden Reed. Christian Watson is going to be – Jaden Reed, I think, is a very interesting option. I think Christian Watson will be, especially at his price, going to be pretty much I don't want to say chalk, but he's going to be very.
He's going to be close. Yeah, I like Reed as kind of a contrarian option to Watson.
Yeah, so
that I like them both, but I don't think Reed's going to get played as much,
right?
Even like very much at all. So yeah, I like him as kind of not necessarily contrarian, but just as a way to get a little bit different.
Yeah, so Watson's 4,900 and Jaden Reed's 4K on DraftKings, and then on FanDuel, I'll flip over here, 6,400 for Watson on FanDuel, and then Jaden Reed is 5,600. I hate to kick him out of the loop, but I just don't feel like this is a Romeo Dobbs game, and it seems like you don't feel that way either. Yeah,
I mean, he had the good game against them in Detroit or in Chicago. Basically just because he had one big play against them. Maybe it's a revenge game because he blew that onside kick. But yeah, I just don't feel I don't think he's the kind of guy who can there's gonna be a lot of points on the slate, and I don't think he's the kind of guy who can kind of go nuke on a slate like Watson or Reed could.
Yeah, and then on the other side of the wide receivers, we have Josh Jacobs, probably the healthiest he has been in I'd say a month. I'm very worried about not playing Josh Jacobs, and Matt LaFleur just shoves it right up my ass with just constant Josh Jacobs, which we've seen that with Matt LaFleur where he just gets so into the run over and over and over again. And it gets kind of frustrating because it leaves like the Jordan Love, like where you know that he's capable of just taking over a game, but LaFleur just kind of leans into it. The defense, they're just are what they are at this point with all the injuries and all that stuff. Luke Musgrave, I believe, I don't think I want to click him, but he'd be probably more of a large field play if anything. You hope for
unstartable.
Yeah,
he's just not involved in the offense.
Yeah, I just don't think him, Fitzpatrick or whatever, he's gone. I mean, he's retired, so it's just like I don't want to do the tight end stuff. And then on the Bears side, well, I'll get to the quarterbacks real quick. 7,800 for Caleb Williams, and then Jordan Love 7,400. Jordan Love is one of the cheaper quarterbacks on this slate. I think he is an awesome tournament play. I think Caleb's all right too, but I really like Jordan Love on this slate here. For Chicago, the wide receivers, I like Colson Loveland a lot, and I think a lot of people are going to bring Luther Burden with them because over the last month, I'm a little iffy on bringing Burden with him. I know he has been good. I know Odunze fell off the second half of the season. He's coming back. He's healthy. I think Luther Burden, as good as he is, he's still not playing on like full time compared to Loveland's percentage has definitely gone up, and he's still got Cole Kmet to deal with. But the Burden stuff with Odunze back, they play Zacchaeus just enough to kind of be a thorn in the side. I just think that if you're going to play the Caleb Williams stuff, people are going to play with Loveland, and then they're going to bring Burden with it. I'd rather take a chance on Odunze. I know it's been a while since we've seen it, but he's healthy. It's been a while. Against this Packers defense, I think it's definitely possible for him to have a big game too. So like I said, I'm always trying to get contrarian. I think Luther Burden's definitely going to get some clicks. I'd rather honestly, I'd play Loveland. I'd play Odunze. I'd honestly take a shot at DJ Moore too, instead of just that straight up click for Burden and Loveland like we've done the last month. So
yeah, I'm with you, honestly. Earlier in the week, I was clicking Burden pretty hard, but with Rome back, I think that really kind of throws a wrench in his role.
Yeah,
I'm very concerned. I think he will be overdrafted or over.
Yeah, he's had the one big game, and it's not that he's necessarily a bad click. I don't know. Rome Odunze at the beginning of the year. I mean, I was playing a bunch of them. I mean, he was having some monster games. Yeah, so I just. People are going to get over their skis on Burden. I'd love to just, kind of kick that out of there. I do want to ask about the running backs for Chicago. I think both of them they haven't done well in the two meetings this past season so far, but I do think they're pretty interesting with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monungai, if you have any thoughts on them.
Yeah, I think the real question is like they've done well, but Ben Johnson is just not committed to the run, and he's thrown the ball a lot. He's done a lot of play action. I mean, he's been smart with it, but yeah, they've been successful. They've been getting 5-6 yards of carry, but then he just goes away from it. So the question is, and I think the way this game gets really wonky and just doesn't score a lot of points is, does Ben Johnson commit to the run, and then does Matt LaFleur in response want to kind of rest his defense, kind of limit possessions, and then does he get really run heavy with Jacobs? Because that could happen if he just wants to make it like a 6-possession game. Just wind clock, do a lot, 10, 11 play drives instead of going for the explosives and putting your defense back on the field. So I think that it kind of depends on like maybe how the first drive goes. Like if the Bears get the ball first and they go on like a 10, 11 play drive and they, they're running the ball well and Ben Johnson seems like he's sticking with the run, then I think the Packers may try to answer with the run and try and protect their defense, keep them off the field. So that's kind of the one wrinkle that I'm concerned about.
Right. So it seems like we both are pretty in on the Jordan Love stuff. I brought up Christian Watson earlier. I do think he is going to get clicked a lot. I do want to bring that up just because of his price point. And he's been a Bears beater. I mean, he has whooped their ass. He's been the best wide receiver for the Packers.
Yeah, the Bears play a lot of man coverage, and like he is their man coverage killer. So it's a very good matchup for him.
Yep. So outside of that, I don't think there's much else on this game. I'll bring up both defenses. They are middle of the pack, 4,200, 3,900 on FanDuel. It's going to be the same on DraftKings. There's better spots. I mean, unless you think this is going to be like a 21-20 game like it's been the I think it's like the first time.
Yeah.
I think points are going to get scored. So
I don't think, again, pricing is pretty loose. I'd rather just pay up for the Rams or, one of the better defense. The Texans on was it Monday night that they play if you're going for the full 6-game slate.
Yep.
So I don't think you need to play either of these defenses.
Yep. So honestly, my preferred way, and it sounds like you, preferred way, I'd play Jordan Love. I'd do the double with Reed and Christian Watson and probably bring it back with Colston Loveland. So that would be
that's the way I'm doing it.
So we're both on the same page there. Like I said, I've gone back and forth. I think Packers win here. I think Jordan Love has just a monster game. So, and you can be his homer.
I'm glad you feel that way because that's what I'm leaning to as well.
Yep. So we're going to move off of Saturday and then we're going to move on to Super Wildcard Sunday. It's probably going to be the game of the week. It feels like this game might be the winner, ends up being the representative of the AFC. I've seen that comment. We got the Buffalo Bills, a slight road favorite going to Jacksonville. This Jacksonville team is just red hot. Trevor Lawrence has been awesome so far. We got the Josh Allen, can he do it without Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs? I think that's a bullshit thing to say because this is the worst Bills team that he's brought to the playoffs. And honestly, every team in the playoffs right now is more complete than like these other playoff runs the past couple of years where just like one or two teams and then a couple duds. I think every team in the AFC has a chance to make the Super Bowl. So if Josh Allen's going to do it, I mean, he's got to be Superman, but we got the Bills and the Jaguars here. This is a monster game to kick off Sunday. So if you kick us off here.
Yeah, I do agree that I think this is the de facto AFC championship game. 51.5 is the total here. Buffalo, a 1-point road favorite. 26.25 is their implied total. 25.25 implied for Jacksonville. So the two highest implied totals that are not in games against sub 500 teams in the playoffs. I think it's a little disrespectful to Jacksonville to be underdogs at home. I think this is kind of feeding the Bills narrative of if you'd have said at the beginning of the season that the Bills were going to go into the playoffs with no Joe Burrow, no Patrick Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson, that they would be heavy favorites. I'm with you in that their defense has been good. This is not a complete team by any means. They're just, and I think like if you can take James Cook out of the game, they're just going to struggle to score. And I Jacksonville can do that. They're very good against the run. They're a very pass funnel team, but Buffalo doesn't have the receivers to kind of exploit that. So I'm not playing anyone in this game not named Josh Allen or James Cook. I'm not playing James Cook because I think it's a bad matchup. I don't want to totally fade Allen because he's the one quarterback who's capable of just nuking, putting up 35, 40 points and just being the guy you have to have, especially in a game like this where I think there will be some points. And I don't think James Cook is going to it would take like some vulture touchdowns, goal line touchdowns. I don't think James Cook's going to go for like 140 and 2 or anything like that. So I'm a little just afraid to fade James Cook. Jacksonville side, I love Travis Etienne. I think he's my favorite play this week besides Puka Nacua.
Yep. There we go.
Big on Travis Etienne. We've seen the Bills defense be very bad against the run, and now Jordan Phillips is not going to play this week. So they're kind of their best nose tackle. That just depletes them even more. I know Bishal Tutin's back, and that's a little bit concerning that he kind of vultures some Etienne touchdowns, but I'm not going to play scared. I'm going to play the ETN side. And yeah, I like Trevor Lawrence as well. I like the passing game. It's just, again, which ones, which one is it? Brian Thomas? Is it Parker Washington? Is it Jacoby Myers? Is it Bretton Strange? I don't know. They're tough to get a gauge on.
Yeah, Bills haven't won a road playoff game in 33 years. They are 0-8. So it's I hate to come off as like hot take. That's not what I do. I think Jaguars beat their ass on Sunday.
I agree. I think they do too.
I don't. The run defense for Jacksonville has been, I believe, number 1 overall. So you get James Cook, who I know that's the. I mean, I guess Josh Allen can run for 2 touchdowns, and then you don't know who he's going to throw it to. I would assume that Dalton Kincaid would finally show up to play a game. He's been very hit or miss this entire year. If
he's going to have to.
If Josh Allen was going to play and win, I think it'd have to be through the tight ends because Khalil Shakir's okay, but I mean, the rest of these guys are bad. Right now, it's like Brandon Cooks, and then they played Keon Coleman last week finally. Good for him. He shows up and participates in the fun. Gabe Davis, we're doing the blast from the past stuff, but I honestly, outside of Josh Allen just being absolutely superhuman for 4 quarters, I do not see how they beat Jacksonville. And I think
agree 100%.
And I wish you didn't take my thunder. Travis Etienne's my favorite play on the weekend over Puka and everybody. This is the Bills defense. They are supposed to let you run and take away the pass, but the problem is they don't have any corners. Their rookie corner that's very good is not going to play in this game. Their depth piece, they let go when they signed Darius Slay, and Darius Slay came up and said, "Hey, that don't work for me, brother."
Nah, I don't want to.
So they're very thin at cornerback, and I think Trevor Lawrence over the last the last month and a half, he's been running touchdowns. I mean, he's been really good. I've not been a Trevor Lawrence fan. I've dunked on him more than I'd like to admit, but I mean, this is a great spot for him. I think that they could probably do whatever they want. I think the defense can get to Josh Allen. It's very thin for the Bills to go on to run, because if they do this, they got to play like the Broncos or the Texans, these big defenses that will just smother them. The Patriots, who've already beat them. I feel like it's very thin, and we'll talk about the Bills for the next 6 months and who should be fired and all that stuff. But for the Bills stuff, it's Josh Allen. If you want to play that, other than that, I'm not playing anything as far as the Bills go. Jacksonville, light them up. Travis Etienne, he's going to get a little bit of ownership, but you love him. I love him. I think he's the best play on the entire slate. Parker Washington has been my dog over the last couple weeks. He would be my preferred play over Jacoby Myers, which I know that might be a little hot take-ish as well. But, I mean, Parker Washington over the last month has whooped ass out of the slot. I mean,
he's getting it done.
Yeah, so him, Brian Thomas Jr. is a really interesting tournament play. I'm not very confident in that, but I think he's interesting. Jacoby Myers right here at 5,500 on DraftKings, FanDuel. Pull this up real quick. Gets a little wonky. You just got to have a little patience with me on this Thursday. I'm used to mornings, not nights. So 6,300.
Too many slates.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is Jacoby Myers right here. He's fine. As far as you're probably going to get 4 or 5 receptions, 40 to 50 yards and a touchdown. I like Bretton Strange a lot in this game as well. I know he has not been like the greatest of all time, but we're on a slate. It's Colston Loveland and a bunch of guys who can catch a touchdown. He's one of these guys, Dalton Schultz, Dallas Goedert, Hunter Henry, these mid-tier tight ends where all it takes is one. So he's had a couple decent games. It's not 12, 14. But like I said, Trevor Lawrence here. Josh Allen's going to be the highest salary guy on both sides, and then Trevor Lawrence is in this mid-tier. Jordan Love's a little cheaper than him, but Trevor Lawrence here, he's going to have some ownership, and I'm right there with you. I think he's in a great spot. Can I give you one more goofy play?
Yeah, for sure.
How about Jaguars defense?
I don't mind it.
Is that ignorant?
No, I don't mind it at all.
They've been good, dude. I don't.
If they can figure out a way, and it's not like Khalil Shakir is that hard to shut down, but where else are you going with the ball?
Right.
Like if you can contain Josh Allen and not let him run all over you, you're a good run defense. Where else are you going with the ball?
Yeah. So I just I really like this Jaguars team. We'll get to our Super Bowl predictions at the end, and I've struggled because I I've taken a dump all over Trevor Lawrence, but this last month and a half, I know the competition's a little iffy, but man, he's been good. And the Bills, it's just the Bills. Everybody's used to them. They're used to Josh Allen. If you've watched the games, the Bills have not beaten the good teams. They beat Lamar at the beginning of the year. Turns out the Ravens weren't that good. Beat the Patriots, but it's a division game. But any other time they face anybody decent, they've kind of gotten their ass whooped. So I expect that at home. The 1.5 points on the road, like you said at the beginning, is a little disrespectful. So,
and just a couple things before we move on. You go back to which quarterback combo do you trust? I trust Trevor Lawrence right now, so I trust him as much as Josh Allen. I don't trust Sean McDermott at all, especially in the playoffs.
Yep.
So I think that goes to the Jags. And to Sean's point, Jags have 5 wins against playoff teams. They've also beaten the brakes off the Chargers and beaten the brakes off the Broncos in Denver. Like they're not just winning, they're blowing teams out. So this is a really good team. This is the best team in the league down the stretch. So, you talk about you want to be playing your best ball at the end of the season. That's what the Jags are doing right now. So, yeah, I kind of, and just from a betting perspective, the Jags Super Bowl odds right now are like plus 1,600 or something like that. When they win this game as underdogs, like they're going to drop to like minus or plus 600 or plus 400 or something. So if you want to bet the Jags to win the Super Bowl, do it now.
Yep.
Because I think their odds are going to drop massively if they win this game.
Yep. So you get the Broncos, Patriots, maybe the Texans, kind of see how it lines up. But I mean, those are all beatable teams that the Jaguars could. Jaguars are the most complete team in the AFC. I will say that.
Yeah, if they have to go to Denver next week, they just beat the crap out of Denver 3 weeks ago in Denver.
Yeah, so it's I don't know if it's hot take. I've seen a couple. It seems like a lot of people still believe it just because Josh Allen's going to make it happen. But I mean, if you got nobody
the only way that the Bills win, I think, is just Superman Josh Allen just becomes undeniable.
It's like a 52 against 1 handicap match in a steel cage. I'm having a hard time seeing it. So we're both on the same page there. Next game, we will see. It seems like Trent Williams will play, but we got the 49ers going on the road to Philadelphia. I think this line here is kind of the injury. It seems like Ricky Pearsall is not going to play. Trent Williams is pretty questionable. It seems like the Eagles are going to get healthy, Lane Johnson. But 49ers going to Philadelphia at the Eagles, I think it's a really fun game on both sides here. So if you want to kick us off here.
Yeah, Niners 5.5 point underdogs on the road right now. 44 is the total. So this line has moved from 5 to 5.5. But now that Trent Williams has practiced, I think because yesterday he did not practice and it looked pretty questionable, bordering on doubtful that he was going to play. Today he practiced, so I think this line is going to go back down to 5. But implied totals 19.25 for the Niners, 24.75 for Philadelphia. Niners defense is bad. They're so beat up.
It is bad.
I think Robert Saleh is really good as a coordinator, but I just don't think he has the tools right now. They lost, what's his name, Bethune-Cookman or whatever, the linebacker who'd been doing a pretty decent job filling in for Fred Warner. Now they lost him for the season. So you're basically down to your third string middle linebacker guy who was going to wear the green dot. Yeah, it's like Diamador Lenore and just a bunch of cast-offs. There's just nobody on this defense. So I really like
34-year-old Eric Hendricks, I believe, or 33, about to be 34.
That's right, Eric Hendricks. Yeah,
so
right.
He will be Jesus.
Oof.
I mean, times are tough.
Oof.
Sorry to interrupt, but
no, that's a very good point. That is rough times. So I think even Philadelphia's struggling offense is going to be able to put up points on this Niners defense. The question is whether we get a shootout. Whether Purdy and McCaffrey can kind of put up a bunch of points and, try and do what they did against the Bears a couple of weeks ago. A little different story going against this Philly defense, especially on the road. I love the Eagles. I'm full fading Kittle, man. No interest. It's a brutal matchup. And I really question how many points the Niners are going to score and how many of them are not going to belong to Christian McCaffrey. So, that's that. If you want a full fade this week, I am full fading George Kittle.
Yeah, I've contemplated that. Vic Fangio's had his way with Kyle Shanahan in the past as well. I know it's totally different teams, but his defense has definitely given Kyle Shanahan some fits. So, I'm right there with you again. I think it's a monster spot for Jalen Hurts and the gang for this offense, who is honestly going into the playoffs, I feel is very underrated. They got playmakers on offense. Defense is good. I know it has not been together. It's goofy as always. We've done this with the Eagles the past couple seasons. They either get hot in the playoffs or fall apart at the end of the season, and Nick Sirianni needs to be fired. And Petulu, the offensive coordinator, he sucks. He needs to be sent to prison, all that jazz. But I will say this with the Eagles, they've gotten it done against bad teams and bad defenses. The offense has gotten there. A.J. Brown, I mean, I know last week they kind of took off, but he's been on absolute tear over the last month and a half. I mean, 18, 19, 38, 28. He's had some big games. Dallas Goedert ends up being the greatest tight end of all time this year. He somehow ends up in the end zone every single week. Feels like he's a better play than Kittle right now. Like I said, the Trent Williams thing is huge. I mean, if Trent Williams not playing, I don't think the 49ers have a shot.
Yeah.
Like you said, it seems
I agree with that.
It seems like he's going to play, but I mean, Dallas Goedert has gotten in the end zone all season long. It's that weird tight end year where you get a mid-tier tight end and he doesn't really have the yards, but he ends up in the end zone every single week. That's been Dallas Goedert. Devonta Smith is a really fun tournament play because he's been very quiet. Stacking with Jalen Hurts, who I think is pretty interesting on this slate as well. He's probably going to run more because it's the playoffs. He hasn't really done a lot, and he hasn't hit his ceiling like he has in past years, but I think it's very easy to stack Jalen Hurts this week. And then the one guy who I am very interested in is with Lane Johnson back. I know he's not done good this year, but Saquon Barkley is just sitting here saying, hey, baby, come click me. And I said at the beginning or the middle of the year, I was not going to do any more Philadelphia Eagles, but it's playoffs. I can erase that now. I think Saquon is in a great spot too. This 49ers defense is just falling apart here. So I like him. We will see about Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he gets there no matter what, but man, it's just a bad matchup for him. I feel like going up against Jalen Carter seems like he's going to play. It's just Eagles seem like be getting healthy at the right time, and I'm very worried about that for their opponents the rest of the way.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Sean said this might be a low scoring game in the playoffs. If Trent Williams doesn't play, I think that's very possible because we saw them go 13-3 against the Seahawks last week, where they just couldn't get anything going at all. And this Eagles defense is not that different from the Seattle defense. They're both very good defenses. So I could see them struggling. If Trent Williams is back, that kind of opens things up. I do like McCaffrey just because I think they're going to have to chase points in this game, and I think he will be involved in the passing game. So, yeah, I'm still interested in him, even though I'm concerned about how many points they put up. But, yeah, I'm still going to be interested in McCaffrey. Yeah, Pearsall didn't practice again today, so I don't think he's playing. So Jennings is just going to have to be – he's just going to have to be an option because he's going to have to be involved, even though it's a really bad matchup. Their corners are really good.
Yeah, it just I'm worried about I'm just worried about the 49ers as just overall, I guess, as an offense. And then Kendrick Bourne would probably honestly a large field tournament play if Pearsall doesn't play. But I mean, you're playing that as if 49ers are going to hang around. I feel bad because 2 weeks ago I was really excited about the 49ers. I was excited to draft them in the playoff stuff. I thought that throughout the playoffs, if they had the right matchups, that they could just shoot their way out of games. This one of the best offenses in the league, and go up against Philadelphia, who's getting healthy at the right time. And I just, I'm really worried about it. We'll talk about Brock.
What this reminds me of a little bit is Minnesota last year. Remember when they had to play Detroit in Week 18 for the home field? It feels like almost exactly, and they lost, and then they had to go to the Rams and just got blown out by the Rams. This feels like almost the same for the 49ers, where they had a chance to get home field by beating the Seahawks last week. Couldn't do it. Now they got to go on the road to Philly. I'm with you. I'm concerned that they may get boat race. I think this line's a little light, honestly.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. So Brock Purdy, I will talk about him. He's 7,300 on FanDuel. He's going to be mid-price. I'd rather play Jordan Love. I'd rather play.
Yep.
I'd rather pay up for Lawrence. I just don't think this the spot for Purdy. I think he's a great tournament play if you feel any confidence in the 49ers hanging around. But Vic Fangio's had his number.
This is a garbage time game that could, if this gets to garbage time, I could see the 49ers putting up some points. because FanDuel will go into like a prevent defense and just, let the Niners have some, have big chunk plays. So I like, if you think this game is going to go to garbage time, I like the Niners a lot more than I like the Panthers.
Yep. So my favorite play here is the Jalen Hurts double with A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert here. And I like Saquon Barkley a lot as a tournament. I don't think he's going to get much ownership. He's not done anything enough all year long for people to click on him. I think he kind of gets forgotten about, but the offensive line has been hurt all season long. They're going to start. Lane Johnson is huge for this offense. Not saying that Jalen Hurts is going to like find his way, but it does make things a lot easier for him. And I think they are. It sounds weird for, what are they, a 3 seed? That they could be a dark horse Super Bowl contender where it just seems like everything's falling off. I think they're
totally legit. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that is it for this game here. Defense, Philly defense, I think is pretty interesting at 2,900 on DraftKings. And then
they'll be very contrarian because I think people are going to be afraid to go against the Niners. So
yep. And playing with Saquon, that's how you get different. That's my 4,200 on FanDuel there. So they're mid-price. So next game, the Sunday night game, we get the LA Chargers going across the world to New England. First time, I believe, since 2019 that the Patriots have played in the playoffs at home. So kind of going back to the Tom Brady-esque era. It seems like, we got Drake May coming up, and I think it's a really interesting game, and I think this has the potential to be one of probably the most fun game on the week and just kind of going under the radar because some of these other ones. But we've got the Chargers and the Patriots here.
Yep, Chargers 3.5-point road underdogs. 46 is the total. So 21.25 implied for the Chargers, 24.75 implied for New England. Now I'm going to disagree with you on this one. I think this becomes a pretty low-scoring game. I think this is probably the least fun game of the weekend.
Really?
Especially like this Omari and Hampton injury thing is. I haven't seen a practice report today, but this is kind of terrifying. He didn't practice today. All right,
he's not practiced.
That's bad. I just think that. Yeah, I don't think either of these teams are going to put up a bunch of points. So I'm kind of fading this game for DFS. I'm just really I'm worried about the Chargers without their tackles. Obviously, I mean it's been that way for Herbert has really struggled. Since Alt went out, it's really been a struggle. I don't think they've figured out how to kind of design an offense that works without them. And I just don't think that a Vrabel team is going to be very interested. And the Chargers have a good defense, right? Both these teams have good defenses. So yeah, I don't think a Vrabel team is going to want to just kind of throw the ball over the yard like they have against the Jets and Miami the last couple of weeks. So I'm interested in the Pats running backs because I think people are going to be afraid of them because they split the workload. So I'm kind of leaning towards Ramondre. Yep. Just being a grinded out game, even though he's the least ball secure of the two. But if they get a lead and Vrabel just wants to sit on the ball, I think Ramondre is going to get the work. So yeah, that's how I want to play this game. I just don't have a good feeling about anything on the Chargers side.
I understand where you're coming from. I will say,
all right, tell me how I'm wrong.
I don't think you're wrong. I just
get me excited. Get me excited about this game.
I think the Patriots have a good defense. I do not think they are the suffocating defense where Justin Herbert will have enough time to make plays. I don't think the Patriots are like the Broncos or the Texans where they can't move at all. I think that, especially if Omari and Hampton's out, Justin Herbert's just going to have to run and sling it on the run. I think Ladd McConkey's in a really good matchup, even though he has not done well. And I'm very cognizant of that. He's 5,700 on DraftKings. I think he's in a good matchup. I think he's a very fun tournament play. Especially if the Chargers get down. And then the other thing about it is, as good as the Patriots have been, they've not had much competition this year. So I think it's very interesting that they play. They lost to the Raiders week 1. They lost to the Bills. And then they lost to somebody else. I forgot who it is. But, I mean, I think that Drake May's been really good. He's been scorching hot. As far as the Chargers stuff outside of Ladd, I would lean QJ for the big play here. Oronde Gadsden, I think, will get a couple clicks, not many. He's been very bad for like a month and a half. I mean,
I've been hearing people talking him up this weekend. I don't get it.
No, he's been very bad for a month and a half. And I said I was excited for the tight ends on the slate, If he wants to bury me, that's fine, but he hasn't done it in a month and a half. I do not want to hear about it. So
if Aranda Guedes buries me, I tip
and
my cap and say, good job, buddy.
Yeah, good job, playa. So, but the other side, the way the Chargers defense plays is they basically give you the little stuff and hope that you get a little too over your skis and get aggressive, and that's how they kind of get you. And they've done it very well. I think Drake May is pretty good as far as like he can just manage a game to where he doesn't do anything stupid. He's done really good with that all season long. I know the Chargers defense has been really good, but I think that him, like even with Ramondre Stevenson, who I'm still kicking myself, he was going to be on my flag plant, but I decided to choose JJ McCarthy because I'm a dipshit. But Ramondre Stevenson over the last month has just absolutely whooped ass, and he's going to be. Everybody wants to click Travion. I get it. He's sexy. He's cuter. He's in the better dress. All this stuff, but
he is better looking.
Yeah, Ramondre has been the guy, and he's in a great spot, and he's gotten the work through the air too. So it's not just him grinding it out as far as just the ground and pound. He's gotten it through the air. That's the way that Drake May's gotten there too with the receiving touchdowns. Stephon Diggs, I'm curious to see. Well, first off, he's got to quit misbehaving. I don't know what he keeps racking up. I mean, he's got more kids than Tyreek and Philip Rivers combined, and he's doing all the misbehaving stuff. He's got to quit it. But I'm curious to see now that it's the playoffs if they just move him to full time. They did the 1 week when they didn't have any players, but I'm curious for him. Hunter Henry, I think, is in a pretty interesting spot. Like I said, these tight ends where just a touchdown, they're good enough to get you 12 to 15 points. I think he's pretty interesting on this slate here too. So I think Herbert's interesting because I think that this game will be. I just don't think the Patriots have a good defense. I do not think they are like the suffocating defense to where Justin Herbert is just going to get drilled like he would against like the Broncos or the Texans. So I like Ladd a lot in this matchup, and then the Drake May stuff I think will probably get underplayed, but I like him with Henry, and then Diggs. I believe Booty is playing as well. He's pretty interesting as more of a large field played there, but I like Ramondre a lot in this game. There's more pieces than I thought, and then you talked about Amari and Hampton not playing. Beat Kamani Vidal. We've seen him have the big games. It just nobody else in this running back room for the Chargers. So I think
Vidal, if Hampton doesn't play, then I'll be interested in Vidal.
Yeah, but so will everybody else. He's going to be the cheap running back.
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
That's the other part of it. So I think the pass catchers are kind of fun in this game. I like this game more than you do. I'm not saying they're gonna go off the rocket ship here, but I think it could get a little goofy. I think there's a path to it.
What about if you want to be contrarian in large field, playing either of these quarterbacks naked?
Yeah, because they both run. Herbert has been running for his life with a magnetic hand thing for a month and a half. He's been running for his life. And then Drake May, he's got wheels. He blasted the Jets 2 weeks ago, and because Drake May,
a couple against Buffalo too.
Yeah, I mean he just runs wild too. So I think, but like I said, I like both these guys. Justin Herbert is going to be a lot cheaper, and at 33, if you ignore all the goofy stuff outside of the where they lost their offensive line, I think Patriots can beat them. I just don't think they're going to suffocate them on defense like some of these others. I guess is where I'm giving Justin Herbert a shot to kind of keep up a little bit. I guess I should just put it that way. So
right on.
Defense, any defense in this game?
I'm interested in both. Sure. Yeah, because I don't think this is gonna be a very high scoring game. So yeah, I'm into both of these defenses.
So Chargers 3,400, they're close to bottom of the barrel, and then Patriots are 4,800. God, above the Texans.
What? Yeah, that gets a little sketchy there. I'd much rather play the Texans at that price.
Somebody's been hanging out with Jalen Coker getting that booger sugar. I don't know what in the world there. So, last game, Super Wild Card Monday, we get the Houston Texans, a slight road favorite, going to Pittsburgh, who I got a couple things. First off, I'm going to derail the show. Texans not playing at 4:30 on Saturday has really messed with me mentally. And then it almost feels like our kid has kind of grown up a little bit. Got promoted to Monday night. And then I do want to go on a rant real quick before we start this game. Can I talk about kickers for a minute?
Please.
So we had this past Sunday night, we have the Ravens and the Steelers. We have Chris Boswell, who just shanks the easiest kick of all time. And then we got Tyler Loop, the rookie, who shanks another kick to send the Ravens. He gets John Harbaugh fired. And then we have a guy named Cam Little who can kick it from the parking lot and just drill it right down the middle. A couple of years ago, they moved the extra point 5 yards back, and it was like a 99.9 success rate. The only way you can miss is if you didn't have any legs.
If you
They move
slip.
it, yeah. If you have, they move it 5 yards, and it's just total anarchy now. Nothing makes sense. We got guys who could shake it from across the globe, and then you can't make an extra point. Evan McPherson 2 weeks ago or whatever shanks 2 extra points, lose to the Browns. I say this as somebody who suffered from Nate Kading, who ruined my life. I've talked about this time and time again. With the Chargers, Philip Rivers would be a multi-time Super Bowl winning quarterback. He'd be looked at better than Ben Roethlisberger and Eli Manning, but he's not because Nate Kading's a terrorist, all that stuff. But I just don't get it. I think that extra points should be gone. It should be 2-point conversions all the time.
Mandatory 2-point conversions.
I tweet it every week. I think kickers should be in prison. I'm just tired of it, dude. I'm sick and tired of it. So I'm getting worked up here. Going back to the Texans and the Steelers. Steelers have not lost a Monday Night Football game since 1991. I was -2 years old the last time they won a lost a Monday Night Football game. That's a 23-game winning streak. So we got Mike Tomlin, who sucks in the first round of the playoffs. He's been bounced the last several years, but he's great at Monday Night Football. So, it's like Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3. Something's got to give here. So I'm going to let you have the floor. I'm going to take a minute to breathe now that I'm worked up over the kickers. But we got the last game, Super Wild Card weekend on Monday, the Texans at the Steelers here.
Yeah, all that said, if we started kickers in DFS, I would love Kaimi Fairbairn. He'd be my flight plan of the week. Anyway, Houston, a 3-point road favorite here. 38 is the total, lowest total of the weekend. 20.5 is the Texans implied total, and 17.5 implied for the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterbacked. Well, I've heard people say that they like the Steelers in the upset. People, I'm here to help, right? Aaron Rodgers is the biggest playoff choker in the history of the NFL, bar none, and tweet. That is it. He is the biggest playoff choker ever. He's not going to win this game. The Steelers are not going to win. They're going to lose. I don't care if it was Jeff Hostetler who was quarterbacking the opposing team the last time the Steelers lost at home on Monday night. I don't care. Aaron Rodgers is going to lose this game, and he will do something that costs him the game. I don't love the Texans offense. Obviously, it's a 38-point total. I do like Dalton Schultz a lot because the Steelers are really bad against tight ends. And I think it's going to be a close game, and he gets a lot of run in close games or when they're chasing points. So I do like Dalton Schultz quite a bit. Nico's obviously in play. We saw Baltimore receivers like Zay Flowers just running free in the secondary. You want to hear a sob story? I was drafting doing some playoff best ball during the game on Sunday night, drafting my Summit, which is a 3-max entry tournament. I drafted a team. While the game was going on, I drafted Derrick Henry as the Niners or as the Ravens were driving that last drive. I'm like, they got this. So I took a Derrick Henry share, yeah, and that team was really strong, except for I take a 0 from Derrick Henry. So, thanks, Tyler Loop. No death threats. So it happens, but
yeah, we're not that crazy. But I think I could say that kickers belong in prison, and I'm not going to be in your DMs and all that stuff.
No, that's fair. That is so.
Anything about
other than Nico and Schultz, there's not much I like in this game.
Any interest in the Pope throwing the holy water? I think that is. I think that is a headline that is going underlooked. I mean, I live in the Catholic community around here. I'm not Catholic, but they've got a stronghold. I saw the Pope sprinkling that stuff in the end zone, and I mean, I know you said you like Fairbairn, but I tried to open up about seeing like Pittsburgh winning. I think that Pittsburgh can make this game ugly. I just have a hard time seeing them. I mean, 2017.
Maybe.
We will talk about some of the guys. DK Metcalf comes back from suspension after misbehaving against a fan. I'm not sure if I'm interested in him. It's just this is a brutal matchup for Aaron Rodgers.
Such a good secondary. Yeah, they elite pass rush and great secondary. I just don't know how. I don't know how they have time to get the ball to Metcalf.
Yeah. I think Gainwell's okay. Jalen Warren, both those guys have been. I've been on the Gainwell train for seems like a month and a half now, and I mean I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers hater at heart, so it's pretty goofy for me to say that, but they might need him for the dump offs. I just
how else are they gonna move the ball? Honestly,
yeah. I have no Adam Thielen. I don't know. No Darnell Washington, so you get Jonnu Smith and Pat Freiermuth. Pat Freiermuth on the seam. Anybody? You think they're going to get away with that on the Texans defense? I do not. So
I don't either.
Nico Collins. You talked about him 2 weeks ago, crying that he was out, or was it last week that he was out when you needed him?
Yeah, when they held him out when he was healthy. Yeah, healthy scratch.
They gave Zay Flowers all those big bombs. I mean, Nico Collins is sitting here saying, "Hey, baby, come click me." Everybody's going to forget
that's all for me. Yep.
Everybody's going to forget about the Monday night game because it's ugly compared to some of the others. He's in a great spot. Jaden Higgins has gotten some run over Noel. I like Dalton Schultz a lot. I've ran him a lot this year, and I've had a lot of success. And this goes on my kind of thing about tight end. I think tight end this weekend is more important than normal because we've got George Kittle here. I think he kind of busts, and then you have this entire group here that just kind of Goddard, Henry, Loveland, Strange, Schultz, even Higbee now that he's back, Dalton Kincaid, that 10 to 14 points, you get the touchdown. That's the kind of way to play it. But, yeah, we got three of us. Dalton Schultz to the moon. Dalton Schultz has been really good this year. He's basically been the wide receiver 2 for Houston. I've tried to play CJ. I've tried to play CJ Stroud this year. 2 weeks ago, he played the Chargers, was going scorched earth in the first half, and then threw like 3 picks or whatever after the fact. He just doesn't have a ceiling. I just don't.
No.
Yeah. So, last thing here, we'll talk about the defense. Unless you got anything else, I don't think you're going to tout. We've been together for 19 weeks now this year, and going the couple years back, I don't think you're coming here and be touting any of the like Adam Thielen or Jonnu Smith. I would assume not.
I would no, and I'm also full-fledging Woody Marks. I have zero interest in Woody Marks.
Yeah, Texans can't run the ball, so
no.
Last thing here, Texans defense are going to be owned a lot. I'd probably play them with Nico Collins be my favorite way to play through that. 4,600 on FanDuel, DraftKings. That's going to be the same thing if I can pull this up here. So 3,300. Rams, Texans. You got a preference of defense if you had to pick one of those two?
I think I would rather go Rams just because, like we said, I don't think so. Well, yeah, I think you're going to have to get a touchdown out of your defense to probably win, to be in the opto. So, yeah, I guess I'll say the Titans or Texans because I think they're more likely to score a touchdown.
Okay, fair enough. I'm worried Aaron Rodgers doesn't get sacked enough because he just gets the ball out so quick because he does not get hit. He does not. No. So that will do it for Super Duper Wildcard Weekend. Before we go, we will do a flag plan or two, and then we will give our Super Bowl predictions. So, Joel, if you want to kick us off with your flag plant. I don't know if you have one or two. I did not coordinate this. I'm a terrible host to do this, but
I can do two.
Let's do two.
I can do two. Okay. First one, I'm gonna say Puka. We talked about how I think pricing is pretty loose. It's much looser than I expected. So I think Puka is the best player on the slate. I think he's gonna be pissed because he had that bobbled kind of catch that turned into an interception. And we saw him just completely nuke the slate against Seattle a couple weeks ago. So I think of all the ways that this Rams offense can go, I think it's going to run through Puka. And I was terrified of fading him just because he's the one guy that if you don't have in your lineup, you're just dead. So I'm going to say Puka is for my first one.
Well, I guess I'll be on the other side here. My first flag plant will be Devontae Adams. So okay. I just think the red zone stuff, he comes back. He's finally healthy. I think he could have played last week. A little different off the Puka, who you can play the Stafford double and get away with it this week with how loose pricing is. So I'm not poo-pooing on the Puka call, but Adams, you get a little cheaper. You get off the ownership a little bit. He's got I don't want to say the same ceiling, but 2-3 touchdowns, get it that way. We talked about it earlier. The Rams can get played I'd say up to 5 players. I mean, you can play 4 players in the defense if you want to and get away with it this weekend. So I'm on Devontae. You're on Puka. I think we're both going to be right. Be quite honest.
Yeah,
I don't think
there's the wrong answer there.
No. And then your second flag plant.
It's Jordan Love. I think we see the Jordan Love nuke game coming. You just feel like if you follow the Packers, like the guys in the locker room are saying it's like he feels different this week. And so I think he's really pissed about what happened in the Bears game a couple weeks ago. He's pissed he couldn't play last week. I think we're getting the Jordan Love nuke game this week.
Yep. So I'm right there with you on Jordan Love. I think both these guys we're both in on. Mine's going to be Travis Etienne. We'll do the shared flag plan. I think Travis Etienne, outside obviously probably Puka being the safest, I think Travis Etienne is the best bet of the weekend.
Yep.
I think he does the stone cold 100% whoop ass on the Bills. I think Jaguars steamroll. It seems like you're on the Jaguars. You don't have to say they're going to steamroll, but it just seems like they're pretty hot. So those are the flag plants. And then last thing for super duper wildcard weekend is your Super Bowl prediction. I will be very blunt about this. I have zero confidence in my prediction, but I'll let you kick us off with your Super Bowl prediction.
I am confident in the Jags. I do feel good about the Jags. I honestly, I think they're the best team in the league right now. I think they're clearly the best team in the AFC. So I'm going to say the Jags. And like I said, I do think that game with Buffalo is the de facto AFC championship game. They get through that game, and I think they're pretty heavy favorites to get to represent the AFC in the betting markets. I think there's a path for the Packers. I'll say that. I guess if I had to put money on it, I'll say the Rams. I think they've been the best team in the league throughout the course of the season. I think the Jags are playing the best right now. I think the Rams have been the best team throughout the course of the season. And I don't think Seattle as a home field team, like, yeah, they have a huge home field advantage, but we trust Sam Darnold in the playoffs.
It's tough.
I mean, even against that San Francisco defense, he barely got there last week. So, yeah, I don't trust the Seahawks as favorites, even with home field. So I'll say the Rams, but I don't feel strong about the NFC.
Yeah, so I think Sam Darnold's got a couple tough games ahead of him throughout because this NFC's loaded. So, man, I have flip-flop on the AFC. I flip-flopped on anything. I have 0% confidence saying this, so don't go running to DraftKings or FanDuel and start betting. But I'm going to say the Jags on the AFC side with you. I flip between them and the Patriots, but Jaguars are red hot. Trevor Lawrence deserves better from me because absolutely took a dump on him for like 14 weeks and then kind of turned things around. So they are going to be my AFC pick. And then on the NFC, I'm going to say the Eagles. I know that they have not been good, but defense is good. They get Lane Johnson back. They have not had him in a very long time. I think they kind of squeak away, and then, oh man, AJ Brown going to get hot. I see the path for them to kind of squeak by, and I guess I'll say the Eagles win the Super Bowl, but I have zero confidence in that. That feels very ignorant to say. This is the most wide open that these playoffs have been.
Yeah, for sure.
In my entire lifetime, it feels like, and it just, we could both look very stupid by next week, but I'll go Eagles, Jaguars, then I'll have the Eagles repeat. So I think that is it. We had 6 games. We had half the games we normally do. Still did over an hour, so pretty excited about that. We had a lot talked about. But before we get out of here, let everybody know where they can find you and all that good stuff.
Yeah, at the Joel Wirth on the Twitter and on the Bluesky, and then right here on your channel, and then randomly on the Club Fantasy YouTube and on IDP Plus and Statement Games YouTube channels.
There you go. Make sure to check all that stuff out on the Twitter machine at Jameson Rules here at the YouTube. One more time, if you haven't, make sure to like and subscribe. Appreciate that. We will be back next week. I will coordinate a time. It might be the same time. I will say this. My kid is the greatest soccer player of all time, and everything gets worked around his schedule. So we will make sure I'll let everybody know that. But appreciate everybody tuning in. If you're tuning in later, like I said, make sure to like and subscribe if you tune in after this goes off the air. But appreciate everybody checking us out. We'll be back next week, and enjoy Super Duper Wildcard Weekend. It should be a fun one. So you guys take care. Have a good one.